Good morning, and welcome to the third annual Carology. I want to thank you all for coming today. 2 years ago it was minus 24 degrees, and I was worried about anybody showing up, but today we got a little bit better day. Apparently it's going to get up to plus 16. So we won't keep you too long. We'll let you get back out into the sunshine. But let me introduce myself first. My name is Roger Dunbar. I'm the VP of Marketing for autoTRADER. I want to tell you that we're not here to sell you anything today. We're just here to share some insights with you and hope that we can help you be better and sell more cars. You're laughing back over in the corner. The first thing I'd like to do is just take care of some of the administrative things that I always forget to do, so I thought I'd do it right off the top. If you could, at the end of the event, please take a moment and fill out the event survey. It's at go.trader.ca/survey. And just let us know what you thought of today's event. There will be a draw, or I think it might be several draws, but a draw for a $100 Starbucks gift card, which should get you about a latte and a muffin. We will take 15 minutes at the end with all the speakers for a QA up here on stage, so we'll bring them all back. We'll give you an opportunity after each speaker talks for a minute or two to ask a couple of questions, if you like as well, but we will bring all speakers back. We will have an event recap along with recordings. They'll all be sent out next week, so everyone who's registered and checked in at the front will receive that. Don't forget the Carology ticket is good for entry to the auto show, so you can stay here all day, but I'm assuming if you're already in, they probably won't kick you out, but if they do, your ticket is good, if they try to kick you out. We have three very knowledgeable speakers here today, folks that have a lot of experience in marketing and the understanding of marketing for dealer groups, for dealerships, and at the OEM level. And I'm very happy that they were able to join us this morning, and thank them for coming out. The one question you might be wondering is sort of why does Trader do this? Why are we, someone's nodding over here, why is Trader doing this? Why do we take the time to do these kinds of events? Very simply, autoTRADER as a site sees 6 million visits or visitors every month, and we get to see how consumers shop. It's actually a marketplace. Consumers are really shopping. They're making decisions online as to which makes and models they want to select. We see them start the journey with often a slimmer number of options. They then go through the middle part of the journey and they expand that set of options, and sometimes in weird ways. Virtually everybody has the aspirational car as they're searching. So, I'm looking for a Mazda 3 and I'm looking at similar makes and models, and all of a sudden a BMW sort of, X6 shows up and you're like, what happened there? But clearly somewhere along the way people think that they like to spend more money than they really do. And then at the end we'll see a narrowing of those options. And it's really interesting to watch that in real time, and some of that insight is going to be shared today. But we also see dealers that win and dealers that lose, and manufacturers that win and manufacturers that kind of lose those battles day in and day out. And that's what's really interesting to us. How can we help our dealers, our customers, our OEM customers be more successful, sell more cars? We believe we have that insight, and clearly the more successful you are in selling cars, the more successful we'll be. So we want to share that insight today, and we want to bring like-minded folks up on stage to share some of their insight as well. And you'll see there are sometimes differences of opinion, but that's okay. So the first speaker we have today actually works with me. He's the Director of Market Intelligence, so it's kind of a cool title to have. You're a Director of Intelligence at Trader. He probably knows more about the consumer shopping experience, I think, than well, certainly anyone else that I've encountered. He manages the development of data and analytics strategies for all of our company's online properties and products, as well as overseeing autoTRADER.ca consumer research, and we do a lot of it. We spend about $1 million a year in consumer research. He does segmentation of dealers and of consumers and understands that process, and he runs all of our analytics programs. Kevin was the analytics manager at Exchange Solutions and held a number of analytical positions at Loyalty One, and you can imagine how data-driven they would be as well. So I'd like to welcome to the stage our director, Kevin Coombs. One of the interesting things for the OEMs in the room or agencies in the room, one of the interesting things we've provided some of them is an analysis at the make-model level of what those make and model models will compete with. And in every case, I think we've surprised the OEM as to how broad that competitive set is. That's the kind of insight we try to bring at an individual customer level. So if anyone's ever interested in pursuing that kind of insight, we'll be happy to provide it. Okay. You know, the theme of this event really is talking about the promise of digital and the realities that we all face. The promise for digital marketing was that things were going to be easier. Now, I've been around long enough to know that's not true. Back when I started, I think you could buy TV, 3 or 4 channels, radio, print, and that was about it. And I remember thinking I worked really hard, but today I think I had it really good back in the old days, and things have changed. And we're going to kind of bring up that theme in the next 2 speakers' sections. But in addition to that, one of the things that sort of drives me crazy, which is kind of an ironic or contradictory thing, is that it amazes me in the industry how many people will tell me or tell you that they have the answer, you know, the answer. There's always the guy, in fact, there was a guy online a couple of days ago I was reading who says he's figured out how to use Google. He's the only guy in the world that's figured out how to buy paid search terms, and he's figured out the formula. It's like a friend of mine who thinks he's figured out how to play blackjack and can beat the house. We all know that that's bullshit. We all know there isn't one answer. We all know that this has gotten more difficult, more complicated. There's more data to work with. At Trader, I've got a team of 5 or 6 people that work with 15 to 20 different tools and platforms and things that they try to use to figure out how to gain an edge. We're up to something like 4 million consumer segments that we buy across Canada. It's going to get to the point where literally we're going to have 35 million segments of one and trying to track down each and every consumer. But it is getting more complicated, and to a certain extent, we need to kind of dial that back, I think, and try to figure out what tools actually work, what channels actually work, and how to make that simpler. Because certainly, if it gets any more complicated, I'm just going to quit, because I'm not smart enough to keep working at this. So our next speaker is Dave Winslow. He's the Chief Strategy Officer for a company called Universe Group. And Dave specializes in identifying rapid growth markets and applying radical approaches to create scalable and sustainable strategies. He spent 3 years on the executive team at Dealer.com. The irony is Dealer.com, as you may know, is our partner. I didn't know Dave then. I met Dave after the fact, and he's doing some work with us in a consultative role. But he drove the advertising strategy at Dealer.com, and following the acquisition by DealerTrack, he guided the executive team on broadening the digital marketing business and forging new partnerships that led to a market domination by Dealer.com in the U.S. He's particularly knowledgeable in the local automotive marketing space, so I really think you'll enjoy his talk and get a lot of value out of it. So please welcome Dave Winslow. Our last speaker is someone that can relate, I think, better to dealer groups, OEMs, and dealers than most people in terms of being on the front lines, because he's been there himself. Scott Eisenfelder is the founder and president, and I hope I pronounced this correctly, because the first time Imperatus Consulting is the founder and president of Imperatus. Consulting auto retailers, OEMs, dealer solution providers like ourselves, autoTRADER, through the ongoing automotive industry transformations. He's held leadership roles at companies including AutoNation, Reynolds & Reynolds, and J.D. Powers & Associates. Scott has firsthand experience of how to fight the digital marketing battle in an increasingly competitive automotive landscape, and it's our pleasure to have him here today. So please welcome Scott to the stage. I want to thank our 3 speakers, Kevin, Dave, and Scott, for, in some cases, coming up from the U.S. I told them it was going to be 16 degrees today. They had no idea that it might have been minus 16, but I told them it was going to be 16 degrees. And I want to thank all of you for coming out very much. So hopefully we'll see you again next year. Thank you.